Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every soul's journey where things begin to shift, not just on the outside but deep within. It's not loud, it's not always dramatic. In fact, it often begins in the quiet corners of your heart, when no one's watching. A whisper, a stirring, a deep sense that you are meant for more than what you've been accepting. You look around and everything may still appear the same, your job, your relationships, your environment. But inside, something has changed. You no longer feel fulfilled by the things that once lit you up. You no longer feel connected to people you used to bend over backward to please. You no longer feel satisfied with living on autopilot, chasing empty goals, or numbing your pain just to survive another day. What's happening is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. Your soul is rising. And when your soul rises, the world around you will not always understand. They might think you're becoming distant, cold, even rebellious. But this isn't rebellion. It's revelation. It's a sacred awakening to your truth. It's your spirit saying, enough. I cannot keep shrinking myself to fit into places I have outgrown. This journey isn't always easy. It can be lonely, it can be painful, but it's also the most liberating experience you'll ever go through. Because it's the moment you stop living for the expectations of others and start living for the alignment of your soul. You see, we've all been conditioned to perform, to achieve, to prove. We've been told that our worth is tied to how much we do, how many people improve, how well we fit in. But when your soul begins to rise, those lies fall away. You begin to unlearn the noise and remember who you were before the world told you who to be. This message is for anyone who feels like they're in between. No longer where they were, but not yet where they're going. It's for the ones who are shedding their past, who are releasing their pain, who are learning to love themselves without apology. It's for the people who are tired of faking it, tired of forcing it, tired of pretending to be okay when they're not. If you feel like you're being pulled in a new direction, even if it doesn't make sense to the world, trust it. That pull is your soul guiding you home. So if you've been feeling disconnected, uncertain, overwhelmed, or strangely at peace amidst the chaos, know this. It's not just in your head. Something divine is happening within you. Your soul is rising. And in this message, we're going to explore the powerful signs that your spirit is elevating, not just spiritually, but mentally, emotionally, and energetically. Because once you begin to rise, nothing can keep you small. Let's begin this journey, not into someone else's version of success or happiness, but into your highest truth, your deepest peace, your authentic self. Because you're not here to settle, you're here to rise. You feel pulled away from what no longer serves you. One of the clearest signs that your soul is rising is that you begin to feel a powerful inner pull away from the things, people, and environments that no longer serve your higher purpose. It starts subtly. That job you once chased with passion now feels like a cage. That group of friends you used to vibe with suddenly feels foreign. That daily routine that used to give you structure now feels like a trap. It's not that these things became worse, it's that you became wiser, deeper, more aware. Your soul is waking up, and with that awakening comes discomfort, because what once resonated no longer fits. You're evolving beyond the version of yourself that accepted less, that tolerated toxic patterns, that settled for what was easy instead of what was meaningful. At first it may feel like you're drifting, losing interest in the things you once found exciting. You might question yourself, why am I not happy with this anymore? But that's not confusion, that's clarity in disguise. It's your soul's way of signaling that your time in that chapter is over. You are outgrowing the noise, the chaos, the people who can't see your worth, the environments that dim your light. And yes, it might feel lonely at times. When your soul rises, it often leads you into solitude, not because you're meant to be alone forever, but because in the quiet, you begin to hear your true self. And that voice will never lead you astray. That voice will call you toward healing, toward purpose, toward authenticity. Walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom, it's strength. It takes incredible courage to leave behind what's familiar, in pursuit of something greater that hasn't yet revealed itself. But trust this. The unknown you're walking into holds more peace, more growth, more alignment than the comfort zone you're leaving behind. Your soul rises when you stop begging for crumbs and start expecting fulfillment. When you stop tolerating disrespect and start honoring your worth. When you no longer need external validation to feel seen, because you finally see yourself. You're not being cold. You're not distant. You're becoming discerning. You're learning to protect your energy. Because not everyone deserves access to your spirit. And as painful as it is to detach from the things that once defined you, it's necessary. Because elevation demands separation. You cannot fly while clinging to what keeps you grounded. So if you're feeling that pull to walk away, to change direction, to close a chapter, even if you can't fully explain it, listen. Trust that feeling. That's your soul telling you, we're not meant to stay here anymore. You're not falling apart. You're rising. And the first sign is knowing what no longer belongs. You crave solitude and stillness. Another powerful sign that your soul is rising is the sudden, undeniable craving for solitude and stillness. It's not that you've become antisocial. It's not that you don't care about people. It's that you've started to understand something sacred. Growth happens in silence. There's a deep shift that happens within you. The noise of the world, once a distraction you clung to, now feels overwhelming. The meaningless conversations, the surface level interactions, the constant rush, all of it starts to feel like static interfering with your frequency. And so, you pull back. Not to escape, but to reconnect. With yourself, with God, with truth. You begin to find peace in moments that others overlook. Watching the sunrise, sitting in your room with no music, walking in nature with no destination, meditating, journaling, reflecting. You realize that the stillness is not empty. It's full of answers. It's full of clarity. It's where your intuition speaks the loudest. When your soul is rising, you stop fearing being alone. In fact, you begin to welcome it. You crave it. Because in solitude, you stop performing. You stop pretending. You drop the masks you wear for the world and allow yourself to just be. You start to hear the voice inside of you that says, this is who I am, this is what I need, this is where I'm going. There is a sacred power in stepping back from the noise and leaning into your own presence. Because when you're constantly surrounded by chaos, it's easy to lose your identity. But when you sit with yourself, without distractions, without opinions, without expectations, you begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Solitude is not loneliness. It's strength. It's maturity. It's a declaration that you are enough on your own. That your worth isn't dependent on how many people call you, how often you're invited out, or how many notifications you get. It's saying, I'd rather sit alone in peace than stand in a crowd and feel empty. And as your soul rises, stillness becomes your sanctuary. You no longer feel the need to chase every opportunity, respond to every opinion, or attend every event. You move slower, but with more intention. You say less, but your words carry more weight. You do less, but everything you do is aligned. The world may not understand it, they may call it isolation, but you know better. This is preparation. This is transformation. This is elevation. Because before the butterfly can fly, it must first enter the cocoon. So if you find yourself craving quiet, choosing solitude, turning inward more than ever before, know this. Your soul is not shutting down, it's rising. And it's in the stillness that the greatest awakenings begin. You begin to let go of what no longer serves you. One of the clearest and most courageous signs that your soul is rising is when you begin to let go of what no longer serves you. And make no mistake, this is not always easy. In fact, it can be one of the most painful parts of your spiritual evolution. What is necessary? As your soul rises, you start to notice certain things just don't fit anymore. Certain friendships feel heavy. Certain habits feel toxic. Certain environments feel suffocating. You try to engage like you used to, but something inside of you resists. Your soul knows. It can't carry the weight of what no longer aligns. And so you begin the process of release. You start to say no more. You start distancing yourself from people who drain your energy. You stop explaining yourself to those who never truly listened. You stop trying to force connections that feel forced. You recognize that holding on to certain things is holding you back from becoming who you're meant to be. Letting go is not about anger. It's not about bitterness. It's about awareness. It's about honoring your growth and realizing that not everything can come with you into your next chapter. Some things were only meant for a season. Some people were only meant for a lesson. And now it's time to move forward. You begin to declutter your life, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. You remove the lies you once believed about yourself. You let go of guilt that was never yours to carry. You release the fear that kept you stuck, the shame that silenced your voice, and the doubts that dimmed your light. You learn to detach from outcomes, from expectations, and from control. You begin to trust the process. You start to say, if it's meant for me, it will find me, and if it's not, I won't force it. That kind of faith, that kind of surrender, is a sign of a soul that's no longer operating from the ego, but from truth. And yes, it might feel lonely at times. You may wonder if you're doing the right thing. But every time you let go of something that weighs you down, you rise a little higher. Your energy becomes lighter. Your path becomes clearer. Your peace becomes deeper. Letting go is how you make room for what's meant for you. You see, when your soul is rising, you begin to value alignment over attachment. You stop clinging to what feels familiar, and you begin choosing what feels right. You stop chasing and you start attracting. You no longer settle for what's convenient. You wait for what's divine. And every step you take in releasing what no longer serves you is a step toward your higher self. It's a step toward freedom, toward purpose, toward peace. So if you're in a season of letting go, don't resist it. Embrace it. It's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. Your soul is shedding what's old so it can become what's new. You feel more connected to the present moment. Another undeniable sign that your soul is rising is this: you begin to feel deeply connected to the present moment. You're no longer living in the regrets of yesterday or the worries of tomorrow. You're here, fully alive, fully aware, fully grounded in now. This is powerful because for most of us, we spend a lifetime distracted. We're caught in cycles of overthinking, always planning, always reminiscing, always stressing. And the present becomes something we pass through, not something we experience. But when your soul starts to rise, all of that begins to shift. You start to notice things you used to overlook. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of birds in the early morning, the comfort in silence, the magic in small, simple moments. You begin to realize that joy doesn't live in some distant future. It lives here, in your awareness, in your gratitude, in your presence. And that presence becomes your power. Your soul starts to guide you away from constant mental noise and pulls you into a state of peace. You begin to breathe more deeply. You pause more often. You stop rushing. You start to feel, really feel your emotions, your body, your intuition. You're no longer numb. You're no longer escaping. You're awakening. You become more mindful in your relationships. You listen without needing to reply. You love without needing to control. You observe without needing to judge. You allow people and experiences to be what they are without needing to twist them into something else. And that's not weakness. That's strength. That's the strength of a soul that's aligned. A soul that understands that this moment, right here, right now, is all we ever truly have. And wasting it on resentment, comparison, or fear only steals from the beauty that already exists. Your rising soul helps you see the sacred in the ordinary. Washing dishes becomes a chance to reflect. Walking outside becomes a form of prayer. Sitting in stillness becomes a conversation with the universe. Life no longer feels like a checklist. It becomes a journey, a meditation, a miracle. This presence changes the way you respond to challenges. You stop reacting from panic and start responding with peace. You trust the timing of life. You allow space for things to unfold. You're no longer in a race. You're in rhythm with your breath, your spirit, your purpose. And most importantly, you realize that the present moment is where your power is. It's where healing happens, where transformation begins, where clarity is born. Because when you're present, you're connected, not just to life, but to yourself. And that connection is what raises your soul higher than anything else. So if you've been noticing that you're slowing down, that you're noticing the little things, that you're feeling more alive in this very moment, that's not just growth. That's your soul remembering what it means to truly live. You start living with purpose and authenticity. The final sign that your soul is rising is this: you begin to live with deep purpose and unapologetic authenticity. You stop trying to fit into boxes that were never made for you. You stop chasing the dreams others imposed on you. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable, because something inside of you, something divine, something ancient, is awakening. And it refuses to let you live a life that's not meant for you. That's your soul rising. When your soul rises, it calls you back to your truth. It brings your attention to what genuinely matters. You begin to question the masks you've worn, the roles you've played, the life you've been living, not because it was all wrong, but because it wasn't fully you. And now, you want more than success. You want significance. You want alignment. You want to feel that the way you live your life honors the person you were created to be. So you start making changes, real ones. You start saying no to things that drain you. You stop betraying yourself just to be accepted. You start pursuing passions that once felt impossible. You give yourself permission to dream again, not the kind of dreams that impress the world, but the kind that ignite your spirit. You begin to walk your own path, even if no one else understands it. And you begin to live with integrity, not perfection, but alignment. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, they start to match. You no longer just talk about peace, you seek it. You no longer just talk about growth, you commit to it. You no longer just talk about faith, you walk in it. And you start to notice something powerful. Doors begin to open, not because you forced them, but because your energy changed. Because you're now living from your soul, not your ego. You attract what's meant for you because you're becoming who you were always meant to be. You stop living to impress others and start living to inspire. You show up with humility, but you no longer dim your light. You understand that your purpose isn't just about you. It's about who you can serve, who you can uplift, who you can impact just by being real. And here's the beauty of it. The more authentic you become, the more free you feel. The more you honor your calling, the more fulfilled you are. You realize that rising isn't about having it all. It's about being true to yourself every single day. So if you're feeling a pull to live more intentionally, if you're craving authenticity over approval, if your heart is whispering, there's more to this life than what you've been settling for, listen, that's not just a passing thought. That's your soul rising, and it's ready for you to rise with it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've made it this far, then you already feel it. The shift, the awakening, the rise. It may not be obvious to everyone else, but you know deep down that something within you is changing. You're no longer content with just surviving. You're no longer satisfied with surface-level conversations, hollow goals, or relationships that drain you more than they nourish you. You're not just walking away, you're walking towards something greater. You're not just sitting in silence, you're listening to the voice of your own soul. You're not just letting go, you're making room. Room for joy, room for clarity, room for purpose, room for peace. This journey you're on is sacred. It's powerful, it's personal. There's no map, no blueprint, no crowd cheering you on at every step, and yet you keep moving forward. Why? Because something inside of you knows. You are not meant to stay small. You are not meant to stay stuck. You are not meant to carry burdens that were never yours. You were meant to rise. And rising doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it means crying in silence. Sometimes it means losing people you thought would always be there. Sometimes it means questioning everything you once believed. But that's the cost of becoming. That's the cost of returning to your authentic self. And it's worth every step. The world may not always understand your growth. They may question your solitude. They may not recognize the boundaries you're now setting. But this isn't about them. It never was. This is your path, your soul, your elevation. So trust it. Trust the discomfort. Trust the shedding. Trust the stillness. Trust the solitude. Trust the release. Because all of it is leading you back to your truth. All of it is preparing you for a life that feels like alignment, not performance. Depth, not just success. Purpose, not just productivity. The soul that rises is the soul that refuses to live in fear. The soul that rises is the one that stops running from pain and starts transforming it into power.